I'm Deborah Uroda for It's Your Money, and we have Charles Spence here in the studio with us today from Maine's Bradford Ships and Sheftel. And we're going to talk about powers of attorney and guardianships today. What are powers of attorney?
So powers of attorney are essentially documents that a person creates, or a principal when they create the document, and they're naming an agent to act on their behalf to make certain decisions or carry out certain matters for them. It could be financial, care of their assets, or medical, care of their own personal well-being.
And so when would you kick that in? When would that happen? When would you be called upon to exercise those powers?
It's a good question because under Colorado law, the Colorado Patient Autonomy Act, with a medical power of attorney, if you have any ability to communicate or you have capacity, medical personnel, physicians will follow your directives and intent. Whereas a general power of attorney, general durable power of attorney can be effective while you're incapacitated, and also could be a standing or springing document, meaning that standing, you sign it, you've named your agent, they could go out that day or immediately and act on your behalf. You may not want that. It may work for you depending on what you're trying to do. Or it can be a springing document, meaning that you name the person. Their power as agent only arises when the situation occurs that you've expressed in the document. There's a certain mechanism that will determine that you're incapacitated, not able to act on your behalf.
And what about guardianships? How are they different from powers of attorney?
So guardianship and conservatorship is essentially a process where you go through the courts to be appointed. It's kind of a step up in some respects from those particular documents because you have the court authority behind the person in terms of the appointment. But it is also important to understand that that may be a more timely, time-consuming process, maybe more expensive in terms of seeking appointment. And also, there's a lot of notice requirements in a hearing, so there's additional information that the courts look at.
So powers of attorney and guardianships, conservationships are very similar, but the guardianships are just a lot more stringent and more controlled.
Right. You have the court appointment and the court oversight. You have annual reports associated with that, so the court's essentially acting as a third party to review the process and to make sure things are going appropriately.
You know, I know from experience that powers of attorney are very important before you get into the hospital, and so we really encourage you to get those papers filled out right away. You can go to the Community Health Action Coalition at chaclaplata.org. They have a program called My Life, Deciding in Advance, and also there's another one.
Well, there's a Colorado 5 Wishes, which is a national charitable initiative, and I know that certain local groups, Mercy and physician groups, have provided that to patients. It kind of combines some medical power of attorney provisions as well as advanced care planning, advanced directive issues.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. It's very important that we know about this. I'm Deborah Uroda for It's Your Money with Charles Spence.